Today on Warrior Update, athletes choose club sports, boys soccer advances to the playoffs, and we analyze fear. It's Friday, October 20th. I'm Olivia Macris, and this is Warrior Update. Veterans Day is approaching and Waubonsie Valley is preparing. Warrior Update has more.
Waubonsie Valley will honor veterans on Thursday, November 9th, and the Warriors are already preparing for the important event.
We feel that Veterans Day Assembly is very important because it allows us to create the message of unity through patriotism and being a country. We also like our students to hear the real stories from some of our visiting veterans as to the sacrifice that it really has taken to create such a great nation.
The day includes more than just the annual assembly.
We have our tribute wall. We ask our community and our students and our staff here to send in pictures of servicemen and women that they know, and I feel like that tribute wall is important because it creates a very strong community tie to the people here in our building and the people that they know that have fought for and protected our freedoms.
Staff works hard to bring in speakers so that students have the best learning opportunities.
Our keynote speakers and the message that they have, they're always very strong patriots, and their service has meant a lot to them in regard to the fact that they have preserved our country's freedoms here.
People can send in pictures and stories of veterans by emailing jason_schmidtgall@ipsd.org. For Warrior Update, I'm Karina Collins.
Girls golf made history last week in Decatur. Warrior Update has more.
Senior Arushi Singh became only the second girls golfer at Waubonsie to reach IHSA State 4 straight times.
It was definitely an expectation. As I saw being my freshman year, she was a senior, and she had been such a great role model to me. I had wanted to follow in her footsteps, so for me to become the second player is just a great feeling.
Singh was in 14th place after the first round.
First day after I finished the round, I was not quite happy as how I played, but it definitely was still a good score and I knew I still had a shot. The course was playing a little more difficult than it usually does just because we had been playing in a little bit more colder conditions, so the ball would tend to roll. But this time around, we had really great weather. From my previous years, I have been able to drive it further and just play more consistent than I have in the last 3 years. So for me personally, it played a little bit easier just because I had been playing pretty well.
As her career closes, Singh will miss a lot about Waubonsie.
Definitely going to miss the coach, Farnan, and all the players on the team. We really formed a great bond this year, and it was just great to see some of the girls that I've been playing with for a couple of years, see them grow, and also just meet the new freshmen. They were great, and I just hope to see if they do well the next couple of years.
Singh will play for Indiana University and major in business. For Warrior Update, I'm Taylor Eicher.
Boys soccer upset West Aurora this week. Warrior Update has more.
Boys soccer opened the IHSA Regionals with an upset over West Aurora on Tuesday night, a 4-3 overtime win.
I mean, it was a hard-fought battle on both teams. I think West Aurora played extremely well. It came down to grit, and I told these guys it's all about grit now. You know, do you have it in you? Can you get that little extra run when you don't want to do it? Can you do it? And I think they did it, and we got the results.
Getting that 3-1 lead was a big factor, but then losing it, going into overtime, we talked about getting back into the game and keeping our focus. You just had to stay warm. When people went down, I feel people were standing too much, so you had to keep warm, keep your legs moving, and that was a key for some of their players to go out, and we were able to capitalize on that.
Noah Glorioso scored a hat trick, including the game winner in the second half of overtime.
It had to come from my teammates first. The great passes to me were key in scoring those goals. I was on the back end of things. Giacomo took it down the line, and I was making a run on the backside and just hoping he would play it across, and that's exactly what he did, and just like we were doing in practice and warm-ups.
The Warriors advanced to the regional championship on Friday, where they play Mattia Valley at 5 o'clock at East Aurora High School. For Warrior Update, I'm Brian Weinsack.
What are you afraid of? Bailey Eppenstein reports on the science of some common fears.
With Halloween approaching, people seek out or try to avoid fear. Fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous. But when does a fear become more serious?
Fear is one of the 6 basic emotions that people express. But when we have a fear that is full-blown into a phobia, to have a phobia, you have to have certain criteria to classify that fear as a disorder. We see a persistence in that fear for about 6 months or more.
While phobias may seem silly to some, to the person with the phobia, it's a serious issue.
When we are afraid of that phobia, we know it's irrational, but we can't help it, and we have such great anxiety towards that. So we might have anticipation of the event, and they might have anxiety that comes in certain symptoms, such as panic attacks, sweating, shaking. They start to avoid the fear.
Common phobias include snakes, spiders, and even clowns.
So fear of clowns is actually defined as coulrophobia. So people can be afraid of pretty much anything as long as they show those criteria.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Usually it can be trauma as a child, but there's no real cause of phobias. It could be family history. It could be the way that they learned to be afraid of it, if their mother or father showed signs of that fear, but there really is no known cause.
For Warrior Update, I'm Bailey Eppenstein.
What's the best way to propose to your girlfriend? Waubonsie Valley's Jason Mead asks for your help.
This is Jason Mead for Warrior Update. Many of you know me as the math teacher and head boys basketball coach at Waubonsie Valley High School. However, what some of you don't know is that high school teachers actually have lives outside of school. I currently have a girlfriend, and I'm thinking about proposing for marriage. So I'm going to ask some basketball players what they think is a really good idea in order to do that. So do you have any good engagement proposal ideas?
Maybe like take her out to a concert, see her favorite artist, find a way to get her on stage and ask her that way.
Probably take her out to dinner and then propose.
That's boring. Stokes, do you have anything? Audrey, did you come up with anything?
And you need a bottle of champagne. Pop it open with a ring inside the champagne and drop it in her glass. That's how you should propose.
How much money do you think teachers make?
You can pull her over with a police car, then show a picture of yourself and say, "You stole this man's heart."
I think the best way is in skywriting.
Do you have any other ideas?
No.
Hey, Starks! Starks! Where's Starks?
Don't do it. It's a trap.
It's a trap!
All right, so you remember that extra gum commercial? Every big moment they have, he draws it out on the gum wrapper, and the last one is him like proposing, and then he's like right behind her when she turns around.
That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. I might steal it. Audrey, what's your best idea for proposing to a girlfriend?
I think the best way to propose is after watching Warrior Update.
Were you married?
The stiff shrug.
The what?
Do you know the famous stiff shrug?
Classy rapper, soccer, hacky, sacker, cocky, khaki, jacket, jacker, slap happy, it's slapper. Alright.
We're freshmen, we don't
take that action, tacky, Jolly raunchy rapper. Dang, dang, ski, she do that thing for 3 retweets. The album feel like 92. Then take that bump for he 3P. Chance hold, I said, cruising on that LSD. Ask yourself about my deal, he look back, say, hell yeah, let's see. It's my favorite song, you just don't know the words.
If you can do the perfect impression of Stiff, then I'd love to see this. Getting the education for the freshmen.
That's all for Warrior Update. I'm Olivia Macris. Thanks for watching. Ciao. Okay. How about I talk like this? Warrior Update has more.
Honestly, that's how you did your interview.
Today on Wambanasi Update.